Okay, people. So, yeah, just got back from checking out The Amateur. I feel it's called The Amateur. It looks like that. It is the new film from James Hawes, who directed. It is written by Ken Nolan and Gary Spinelli. All right. So the film is produced by Joel B. Michaels, Hutch Parker, Dan Wilson, and Rami Malek. Jonathan Hook executive produces the joint. Right, Volker Bertolman is on the music. Martin Aru is down with the cinematography. It's edited by Jonathan Amos. Right, Martin Ware handled the casting, production design. We have Maria Djikovic, Jamie Burrows, Gavin Fitch, Erin Geratil, Frank Muller, Nico Sadori, Alex Sutton, Kevin Timon Hill, and Stefan Tribe down with the art direction. Set decoration, we have Sophie Phillips and Nicholas Brichat. Susie Harmon is costume design. Okay, let's go with the cast now. All right. So, in the film, we have got Rami Malek as Hella. Hold on. Let me get a better name. Charles Hella, aka Charlie. His wife, Sarah, is played by Rachel Brosnahan. There is CIA director Samantha O'Brien, played by Julianne Nicholson. CIA deputy director Alex Moore, played by Holt McCallany. We have got the chief of staff is played by Henry Garrett. There is Jackson O'Brien, aka the Bear, a CIA operative, played by John Bethany. There's Caleb Horwitz, a CIA supervisor, played by Danny Sapani. There is Robert Henderson, aka Hendo, played by Lawrence Fishburne. We have Inquin, aka Davis, right, played by Katarina Balfe. There's Horst Schiller, played by Michael Stolbage. We have Carlos, who works with Charlie, played by Adrian Martinez. Mishkak Baljik, played by Mark Reisman. Elish, played by Joseph Milson. Gretchen Frank, played by Barbara Provost. Ali Park, played by Alice Hukin. The Professor, played by Takahiro Hira. Martha Keller is the florist in Paris. So I feel that's probably our main lot of cast, right? So the gist, when his supervisors at the CIA refuse to take action after his wife is killed in London, in a London terrorist attack, a decoder takes matters into his own hands. Yes, that is correct. You heard it right. Right? This is actually based on a 1981 novel of the same name, right, which was written by Robert Littell. So, yeah, The Amateur, like, great cast, you know. The James Hawes, the director, he's directed, One Life, which was very popular a couple of years back. He's done a couple of Black Mirror episodes that were good, Doctor Who, and a whole host of other things, right? So the film, in good hands. Now, I knew obviously nothing about this going in, and you're watching the film, right? And it's put together very well. Put together very well. The story, though, is just, you kind of know what's happening all the way through. You know what I mean? Like, he's, when you miss a phone call from the wife, right? And you see the voice, and then you have the person go, oh, I'll wait to call back. Something's going to happen then, right? They're either getting killed, getting kidnapped, but there's going to be something. You have to have then the scene of, if only I had picked up the phone, right? And they'll be looking at the distance, regretting the remorse of the whole thing. So that's coming. But he finds this information at work, doesn't do a thing about it, but then the minute, this stuff happens with his wife, right, we get into this just ludicrous situation of which, it starts the course of him going out to find the killers himself. He's a cryptologist, right? He handles data and stats and all of this kind of thing. He's not a operative. He's not a spy, right? We have him at a shooting range and he can't hit the target for shit, right? He is awful. And with them meant to believe, like, just the fact that they're going to give him training, you're just like, what? And then the fact that he's doing the training and he's shit at it, it's just, it doesn't work. Like, I don't think this should have been a film. You know what I mean? Like, this would have worked better as a limited series, because then you can show him doing more training. Because you have to have some modicum of belief that he might be able to do a thing, right? I believe there was that film with Colin Farrell, The Recruit, where we see him in the training center, like, training and doing, and he was there for a bit, right? So then when you see him out in the action, you're like, okay, I buy this. So, yeah, like, you just don't buy his ability. There's a bit where he's just found out his wife's been killed and he's stressed. And he, actually, I think he's coming out the gun range and he throws up, right? He gets in his car and then he opens the door and he throws up, right? But then throughout the rest of the film, we don't necessarily see that. And you're just like, look, the guy was shook only a day ago. And now we're meant to believe he is able to then do a whole heap of other stuff, which are just like, I'm just not buying it, right? And when you look for your job, you look at the data to be able to track people. You can hack into, camera footage, and so you know all of this stuff, right? You understand this, but then you don't take it into account that people can do the same to you, right? You're just like, what? Like, there's a weird situation with the phone and just other stuff, and you're just like, if he supposedly knows all of this, but can't even remember that, again, how are we meant to believe any of this is possible? That is the thing, that he can do any of this, and it's just kind of like he got beat up by a woman. He got beat up by a woman in the film, which is, not saying like women are weak and all of this, but right? Now, obviously, he's not trained, but as far as we know, she's not trained. So the fact that he's getting fucked up, again, you just don't have any sort of belief that homie can do this thing. Also, it's a kind of weird that she's able to do this when just moments before this thing's gone down, right? So there's just, it's not a logical sequence of events. That's the thing with the film. Like, it's not very logical. And it doesn't have to be completely believable, right? But if you're going to do this implausible thing of going, okay, we're going to send this guy, but you have to then just make the things be able to add up for you just to believe that this thing works, Like, there's moments when Malek is good, and then there's other moments where you're just like, shouldn't he be scared out of his fucking wits here? Like, shouldn't it, and we're not seeing that, Like, there's one bit where he's like super sweaty because he's, worried. But it just doesn't carry through into the rest of the film. And it needs to. That's the thing. It needs to carry through. Because otherwise, you're taken out of the whole experience, right? How can you believe any of this is possible when what you are showing us doesn't really add up? Doesn't really add up. But, the action isn't bad, right? The way the film's all put together, it works as, an action film. It's just not very memorable. Not very memorable. And, you leave the cinema just like, oh, well, right? When you think of coming out of the Bourne Identity, or any of the Bourne films, well, for the most part, you were just like, yo, oh my God, yeah, I've got to tell this friend about this or that friend about this, like, because it was so good, and you bought it. You bought all of that action. Oh, yeah, he doesn't remember. Oh, but then these memories are coming back, right? We have this insane moment with a lockpick and a YouTube video. Yeah. And it's just like, surely you would practice before. But the fact, trying to say that a person it can do it first attempt really quickly when everything's got no one's buying that, man. No one's buying that. It's just like there's too many of these moments where we're like, hold on, no, that's not happening. That can't happen. That's the problem with the amateur, and that's why I feel if it was a limited TV series, you would be able to lay down more of a foundation. You'd able to build more depth into these characters, right? I did think that what is his name? Director Moore, right? Holt McCallany was very good as a shady, sinister, director, right? Julianne Nicholson isn't bad as the actual director of the agency, being a little suspicious, not quite sure what's going on, So I think those things, those characters worked, right? But it just doesn't necessarily work across the board. That is the overall issue with this film. It feels too throwaway, right? Too rushed for anyone to actually care. And you need to care. You need to buy it, right? That this tragedy has happened and it's driven this guy to be like, I have to take action. That's the thing with it. But I guess if you like the Taken films, right, then this one might work for you people. Yeah, if you like the Taken films, there was a Samuel Jackson film that we looked at recently. Oh my days, Damaged, I think it was called, right? Now, if you enjoyed that, you will like The Amateur. Again, it's one of those films. It's in a similar vein, right? Even something like A Working Man, if you enjoyed that, I think, this could work for you, So, yeah, that's my thinking on this, right? The Amateur, it is currently in cinemas. So if it sounds like it's for you, go check it out. All right? The Amateur.